my YouTube. Such strange days. I got fired yesterday. And, it's a dream job for me, this green cemetery. I was going to sell my house and buy an electric excavator. That was the final straw with my partner. She was renting this room out on Airbnb for $9 a day that I helped renovate. It's real short. You had to go like this, but there was a bed and a desk. You just had to be like what was it called? Goblin? Something? I don't know. She kept talking about us living together. So I was like, of course, she wants to live together. So I thought I could sell my house, rent that from her, and be closer to the cemetery, even though it's still a pretty far drive. And that was for a different story. This is just so dark. Everything's just so dark, so dark. So this is my aunt. I'll keep everybody anonymous. I'll call her aunt. Facebook this morning. I don't know. I was like, I'm going to do a video soon about the cemetery, about my experience there, and she still hasn't gotten back to me. Nancy. There's been all these Nancy bosses in my life. The name thing is so funny. Laura was my boss. She was the manager. No, Laura's the assistant manager. Nancy's the manager. And so the assistant manager, she told, she was in charge of me. And I would say, Laura. And that was my stepmother's name. So, and I could hear my dad's voice. And Laura had problems, she's in a fucking hornet's nest. And she came to me and I was always calm, told her how it was. So this is me to Aunt Sutton. Fired from the cemetery because of YouTube. Laugh out loud. Well, sorry to hear that. Social media often makes trouble in real life. I never blame the messenger. But, in my humble opinion, it's always wise to be careful of what one shares with said messenger. Nah, I'd rather die. We're all gonna die, Robert. It's more of a question of how we're gonna live. In fact, doing the self-censoring everyone else is doing, to me, is being dead alive. I think I do a great job living. Glad to hear that. That you think you're doing a great job living. I knew what you were talking about, and is why I'm messaging you. Very few could understand. You may be overestimating my capacities. Understanding is not necessarily my strong suit. Nancy, the shrink from the grounds, acted like she thinks I may go psycho. Ha! Laugh out loud! What does she mean, May? Laugh out loud! You have a gift of detachment required for understanding. It was born into you, so the credit is elsewhere. Wink. There's a difference between detachment and indifference, although it's subtle. If you're referring to the material line, I'm not sure detached understanding would be a defining characteristics of Eunice. By the way, I'd have to say, what little I saw of them both, she did not get to be who she was, via any material influence. Irene was a nice enough individual. I just stated I'd rather die after losing my income, and then made a statement that is unorthodox about liking it. You were able to detach your love of me and ignore the subtle suicide threat, especially because of my history with it, and just take the statement that I do a great job living at face value. It's subtle, and so is severe personality disorder. Suicide is a permanent solution for a temporary setback situation. I don't recommend it. although I think all intelligent people often consider it. No, Aunt. Contemplating suicide has nothing to do with intelligence. Even the dumbest among us can see the value in it, in the right conditions. I didn't write that only intelligent people consider it. I'd say probably the smartest among us probably end up on Skid Row. I wrote that all intelligent people consider it. I know, often. And aside, what I read here is not that you'd rather die, but that you'd rather die than self-censor. Another subtle difference, but they're just the same. In as such much as we will all die, there's not much to be gained by advancing the goalpost, in my humble opinion. A normal person would take the word die after being fired and getting treated like a psycho by a narcissist PhD differently. Sounds like you're not suffering enough. Nay, not suffering much at all. So far, I can still ride my bicycle and my horse, sit in a paddle in a kayak, and those are watermarks for me. I hear you. Sounds sad. I do want a dog. A good dog. I can only offer the insight that I've found myself. Find something that makes living worth more than dying. We all obviously have. See, the thing is, to have a living thing that is dependent means one has to set aside ego. And I do what it takes to maintain sufficient income to support said dependent. That almost always means self-censoring. I know. All I have is myself. Freedom isn't free.